Namaskar and welcome back to Media Scan, your weekend dose of headlines, controversies and perspectives. A report which has appeared recently has thrown up eye-opening findings about anti-Hindu hatred and bullying of Indian children in UK schools. Not just that, some time back, another report had come to the public forum which highlighted how social media hatred directed against Hindus had become the cause for the Leicester violence which spread to many other towns and suburbs of the UK. So it's time to raise the question on Media Scan, is Hindu hatred becoming a dark reality in liberal democratic United Kingdom? Joining me for this very serious subject, I have here with me Hema Yellapragada. She has been working on this subject in relationship with schools, with the authorities and the Indian community. Welcome to Media Scan, Hema ji. Namaskar.
Namaste, Smita ji. Thanks for inviting me over.
Also with me, a student you have heard on Media Scan on earlier occasion, Karan Kataria, who is himself a victim of this hatred because he decided not to cow down but to raise his voice against the racism in UK campuses and colleges. Welcome back, Karan.
Thank you so much, Smita ji.
And also joining us for the first time, well-known author, nationalist thinker, Ratan Sharda. Welcome, sir. Namaskar. My first question comes to you, Hema Yellapragada. We have seen the report of the the Henry Jackson Society, which highlights how Hindu children in UK schools are facing racist slurs. Not just that, they are being humiliated, they are being bullied, and some children have gone to the extent of pressurizing them to convert. Visibly, the parents are worried. My question, ma'am, to you is, how rampant is this problem in UK schools? Is it recent? Has it been on for a longer time? And how serious is the situation of the pupils, their parents?
Smita ji, I will answer your question. Firstly, in different, you've posed different questions. So it has been rampant for a long time. I wouldn't say it is suddenly come up, this problem, but because of findings because of the surveys conducted by Insight UK and also by Henry Jackson Society, now it has come into light.
Yes.
It doesn't mean it has not been existing for a long time. It has been there for a long time. And the startling findings by Insight UK in 2020, that 75% of the respondents on their survey obviously said that Hinduism is not being taught in positive light. Also, 86% of the respondents were either dissatisfied or very dissatisfied with what is being taught in the schools about Hinduism. So these were very startling findings. And now we have also seen Henry Jackson Society's survey report, and which has highlighted what is happening when Hinduism is being represented badly or not in a positive light in school. That has directly affected into bullying and also children not going through a proper schooling where they could learn and be educated positively towards Hinduism.
Yes, please carry on.
So Hindu Education Board UK has come into place in 2021 after the startling findings made by Insight UK, and with main tenets being awareness, authenticity and advocacy of Hinduism in British schools. So
before that, before you explain to us and let us know about how you are going about resolving this issue. On the one side are the schools, the authorities, the management On the other side is the Indian community, the future of our children. Before that, I just quickly want to know, if you can elucidate for us, I mean, what is the manner in which these poor children are being targeted or humiliated, whatever? Just quickly.
Yes. Yes, very quickly. What happens is that what I have noticed personally is that first generation Indians who come from India to UK, they're a little bit scared to complain. They are very hesitant to complain. Mainly, the reason mainly being that if they complain, their children might get more targeted, is what they feel. They feel that they won't be next to their children to protect them. And then if they're being targeted more and more, then the children are going through it alone. And most of the people, if you see the Henry Jackson Society's report as well, although 51% of the parents did say their children have experienced bullying,
I think
only 1%.
Yes.
Only
Please make your point.
1% have actually formally complained. Yes, sorry.
So I understand your point, and perhaps that is exactly where, the role of people like you comes into the picture, because you, as an activist, you have formed the Hindu Education Board. At the same time, you are, sort of liaising with the authorities on the one side and the community to see how we should go about it. But allow me to bring in Ratan Sharda here. Ratan Sharda, this is not the first time that the question of Hindu hate spreading and rising in the UK is becoming a worry. We have seen the violence on earlier occasions, and certainly it will be naive to believe that it is just about, some words and phrases, because after the violence in Leicester, it has become clear that it can have very, very serious ramifications. So why do you think Indians, particularly Hindus, are becoming a target in these countries? We are talking of the UK, but there have been similar experiences in other Western countries. Your perspective, sir.
Smita ji, thanks for inviting me. Since you are talking of UK first, I'll give you an idea of UK first. There's a report which was based on the survey in 2020 by Insight UK.
Yes.
I will just share the key findings. It says the main findings of the students was 97% of the survey respondents said it's important and paramount for the children to have understand Hinduism. 98% respondents felt that study of Hinduism is religious education is low quality and deficient. 75% of respondents feel that Hinduism is not taught in the positive light. 86% of the respondents are either dissatisfied and very dissatisfied, etc. I will not take more time on this.
Yes.
But similar problem was also in Texas textbooks, for which Hindus fought a lot. They could not succeed at that time, but fight continues. So this particular inherent bias against Hindu is built in the academics from the schools itself. If you go to college level, Karan is sitting here, Karan Kataria, the latest victim. We had Rashmi Sapat. We had another person, an IAS scholar, who in Harvard, he told us a few days back how he was hounded because he tried to follow in the woke category.
An IPS officer, yes.
Yes, IPS officer. Then there was Shobha Swami recently, General Secretary of CUHNA in USA, explaining how the children are being confused, how they are being attacked. Not only that, we have to connect the dots. How are the connecting dots? Dismantling Hindutva during COVID times was the first sign that this was a sustained campaign to dismantle Hindus, because they very well said that's nothing to do with Hindutva. It is Hindu Dharma we want to dismantle. They have created a bogey of casteism is equal to racism. So now Hindus carry the cross with a very weapon intended of white racism also. And casteism has become one of the millstones to be hung around Hindu necks. For that, they have gone ahead and created legislation in one of the states. There are two town councils who have passed resolutions to the effect. But luckily for us, there are also two town councils who actually supported the idea of Hindu phobia and said it's wrong, it should not be there.
Right.
So then Al Jazeera has a very horrific article, totally misleading, full of hate, very, very, very hateful graphics, which tries to paint Mr. Modi and the entire Indian society in a very negative manner with no attention to the truth, nothing to do with truth
One
at all.
second, sir. I think I think that's bringing in another aspect of the situation. I have two very quick queries. One second,
You
sir.
have to understand that this
Yes.
particular thing is not related to Leicester. Leicester violence against Hindus in US is built on all this.
Right.
It's built on
So,
all these narratives which are together. The Islamist and the new left is an axis which, if we don't talk about that, we'll be losing the forest and the trees, you know.
yes, so there is a natural corollary from what you have said. You know, the question arises, number one, you mentioned an article of Al Jazeera, which means it is not only people who are not so aware of Hindu culture and symbols, etc. It is mainstream media which is trying to, you know, push and fuel this hatred, number one. And the second is, particularly in the UK context, sir, the population of Hindus or Indians in UK is not that minimal. I mean, they are the third in the hierarchy of religions there. So it's not like Hindus are a strange entity to them. So why should this happen? I mean, it defies logic.
See, for example, in UK, you could not talk about the sexual grooming of teenage girls till this particular government took a stand. In fact, a journalist jailed for talking to one other person exposing the racket. This was soft pedaled by the same people who are trying to create a demon out of Hindus. Why it is being done? To tell you simply, the ideological warfare, the battleground today in the civilization is the new left, which has nearly hijacked the Democratic Party and also Labour Party in UK, and the Islamists. Hindus are the only standing community, third largest community in the world, along with also Buddhists, if you count them as the dharmic entity, who are adult to their dream of either creating anarchic society across the world if New Left succeeds, and for Islamists to have their caliphate all around India, all around the world. So these two forces are totally inimical to each other, have joined hands because they see that only the Hindus and the Dharma is standing between them and conquering the world the way they want to conquer it. They don't understand
Right.
that leftist and Islamists cannot coexist.
Point taken, sir, and that has raised some very sinister questions. Allow me to bring in Karan Kataria here. He's been waiting in the panel. Karan, from what Ratan Sharda ji has just flagged in this discussion, it becomes clear that, you know, it's not, as has been highlighted in few reports, it's not about, you know, members of the society who are not aware of Hindu practices and culture, so they tend to mock at the children, etc., which can be put into lack of awareness. It seems it is rather serious and it's very, very political. Do you agree?
Yes, definitely, Smitaji. Firstly, coming on to that point, we need to recognize that this is very alarming of the institutionalized form of discrimination and prejudice that prevails. Education, which again say is a vehicle, is a torch for a social harmony. And we can't move forward if we don't know where we came from. We need this report. All these violence, the urban violence, the disorder, the riots, makes us to relook at the history and recapture Bharat by improving the teaching of what you may term as the cultural, religious, heritage, education, which have been whitewashed, and a correct representation of the said thing. The prevailing narrative and whitewashed history have resulted in lack of recognition for the great culture and ethos, the scientific civilization that we are. Discrimination on the basis of caste. There are unsung heroes like Bijli Pasi, Suhail Dev, Jalkari Bai, Panna Dhai, Surajmal, for that matter Khan Mewati. So the education is being used as a tool by a selective set of individuals who have vested interest to divide and rule tactics deployed by the invaders. And it has given rise to the spice and fire of divisive politics that continue to exist today, as you mentioned. It's high time that we give credit where it's due and pave the way for the united future. And think it doesn't stop here, Smitaji. If you look at the history and the narrative that flows through, Alexander, Greek, Shak, Hun, Columbus, Vasco da Gama, all came as their term. The truth will set us free from the cycle of hate. So why did they come here? What was the intention? Again, but we are termed as something who are barbaric, who are uncivilized, and they discovered it. And 75 years, still the misportrayal has fueled hate and division. And it's high time we take a strong action to put an end to it. We must uncover
I understand, Karan, you are trying to give a historic explanation to what we are witnessing today. But coming to the point, as of today, I mean, how much of this hatred is lack of awareness among the people from other religions? How much of this bullying and targeting is a cause that is being pushed by vested political powers or agenda-driven platforms?
Yes, definitely. The equating of principles of equality to standardization, that considering that your superiority complex, considering as backward is what this is resulting in. From my own personal experience, the moment you become an active and engaged Hindu on campus, the moment you become an active and engaged Indian and a Bharati on campus who is proud of his identity, of its scientific philosophy, culture and heritage, you are targeted because
Right.
that fake narrative that prevails in the mainstream is somewhere, trampled upon, as what Ratan Chadha ji has beautifully explained, the vested interest that flows through the main narrative, the mainstream agenda.
I get it. You are trying to say that till you keep yourself cowed down and you just tend to ignore what is being thrown at you, you can have peace there. But the moment you stand up as a proud Hindu, the trouble starts. Hema Yella Pragada, first, what Karan has just flagged, is that true even for children? Because he is talking of campuses at an advanced education level. Here in this report, we were discussing about children who are of a school level education. And secondly, ma'am, now that at least there are forums, there are people who are trying to identify the issue, how are you trying to mitigate the situation? What have you been able to do so far? And what, in your view, is the way to resolve these crises so that the community does not feel threatened, the children's confidence is not broken, they feel proud and self-confident to pursue their studies?
Thank you so much. Sorry, Karan, you have gone through a very bad experience. I'm really sorry to hear. These are two different things. Smita ji, you have asked me to see whether it's the same as in college. Yes, they are similar, but then they are also different in certain levels. Because I feel that Karan would not only be targeted by the co-students, but academia there as well. Because he has to not only face the peer group, but also from academia. But when it comes to schools, it is slightly different. It is lack of knowledge in most of the cases, I would say. Definitely, because when a formal complaint is made, most of the parents, as I have previously said, are scared of complaining, especially first generation Indians who have come from India. They are scared that if they complain, then what would be the repercussions of it? So they don't usually complain.
How do you sensitize the teachers and the other people who are involved? How do you encourage the parents to come out with the truth? Because ignoring a problem cannot be a solution.
Yes, well, that has always been the problem with Indians when they come outside of India. They don't know the system. The thing is, they don't know how to navigate within the system, and they don't know how to formally complain and what would be the repercussions of that. So that is where we try to help out the parents. The other thing you were asking me about how to mitigate and what are the solutions to this problem. Apart from bullying, I have noticed we as an organization, Hindu Education Board, we have come up with the main tenets being awareness, authenticity, and also advocacy. For after the startling findings made by Insight UK, and Ratanji has just pointed out few of the statistics out of the report Insight UK. So what we have been doing is to bring change within the system rather than work against it. We are trying to bring change within the system. We are trying to see where Hinduism is being misrepresented or underrepresented.
Right.
The way we have done is by contacting Sacre boards. I am sitting on Sacre board as a Hindu representative here in Warwickshire and also in Coventry, Warwickshire. Sacre is standing advisory council for religious education. So these Sacres are the ones who come up with the RE agreed syllabuses. So we have contacted the 152 different Sacres which are under LEAs, Local Education Authority here in different counties. And we have noticed that at least quite a substantial amount of Sacres didn't have a Hindu representative there.
Right.
So that means it is most likely that Hinduism will be misrepresented or underrepresented in the scenario that it
So
is now.
I gather,
So
so from what you are saying, I gather that it is also because, Hindus, people like you have not been part of that forum where the curriculum is decided and education policies are made. So that is why misrepresentation and prejudices are possible. I'm sorry, I'll have to stop you here because I have very little time left on the show. And I really want a quick comment from Ratan Sharda. Ratan Sharda, as you said, when Indians migrate to a different country, they do not want, no parent wants to create a trouble for the child by raising a formal complaint, etc. It has to be more subtle. But at the same time, we have to see the effect it will have on a school child when he or she is bullied like this, the sensitivity is involved. What would you advise is the best way for the Indian community to go about it? And also, can Government of India try to nudge or help in the situation, even if not interfere in other countries' policies?
First of all, let me point out that we are the only religious group in the world whose interpretation is done by non-Hindus. So you have no right to interpret your religion, you have no right to interpret your philosophy. It is non-Muslims or non-Hindus will do it. But in case of Islam and Christianity, that is not true. Even for Jews, they have their own teachers, they have their own philosophers. They try now. In our case, when they interpret us, then we have got useful idiots called Hindu in name only, who are their brown sepoys. So you have an entity called Hindu Human Rights, organization, which says that now forget about Hindu and all that because of the pushback that Hindus are giving and saying let Indian Americans concentrate on Islamophobia and fascism in India.
True.
So these brown sepoys are the biggest enemies. And when you say we should, our people are, timid, I think that's the problem in Hindu society. Islamists are not timid. Christians are not timid. At least now again they've woken up. So when their rights are disturbed, they are very bold and very, very courageous about it. Now Hindus being the best citizens of the world, wherever they go, whether UK or USA or any other country, you can go to any other country, best possible citizens, most productive, wealthy, educated. If they don't speak boldly, nobody else will. So Hindu society has to stand for themselves. I don't know whether Karan got the right support from the society outside. He should have got. So we'll have to be bold. We'll have to take a joint stand, and society should show its might in terms of what they are in the society. And to say that others are more influential is a mistake we make.
Okay, I'll go to Karan quickly. Just very quickly, Karan, the other question I had put to Ratan Sharda ji, I'll put it to you now. Do you think Government of India can help directly or indirectly in the situation? Certainly, it will be the community which will have to rise up to it. Very quickly, what do you think is the best way forward?
Definitely, I think even the constitution and the law provides and puts in a duty on the government of India to protect its citizens, it protects its interest of its very culture and the history that is being misportrayed and the discrimination against the citizens and the diaspora outside. So definitely yes, but I think the way forward is knowledge is power. It is important that we acknowledge and address the discrimination and misrepresentation of the faith in the education system, as education is a powerful educational tool for tackling prejudice and promoting social change. I think the change in the teaching standards, the education, we can increase the awareness and understanding, and it's very important that people come up. When I go in the tube in London, there is one term: see it, say it, and it is sorted. So until unless we do not say and speak out, the people will take us for granted. And I think we need to empower our youth, our children, our diaspora, and government has an important role to play. It is the duty of the government to
And
help.
it will be relevant to remind you, Karan, I'm sure you are aware that I think the current government is the first regime that has accorded the kind of importance that should be given to the diaspora. But on that note, I shall have to wind up this conversation here. Karan, thank you very much for sharing your experiences as well as your thoughts on the subject. Also, Ratan Shardaji, who joined us at short notice. Thank you, sir, for all those profound thoughts and sharing your perspective on the situation. Hema Yella Pragada, thank you for connecting to us and for sharing the good work that you are doing. More power to you. Viewers, no matter what the causes, what the reasons behind this anti-Hindu hatred, no reason can be good enough to create such kind of hatred and bullying, that too in the case of children. See you next weekend with another issue. Namaskar.